Welcome to the Temple of Flame. And today, Faith Blacklights, we take a look at this. And what this is from CryBaby Craig's. It is an outhouse. No, it is the hot honey. This is actually a bee thing, I think. What do they call those? Topiaries, something like that. This is made with Bolton bees honey. And out of Faribault, Minnesota. Minnesota. And you can see, so I can agitate this, really how watery this is. So there's a story there, we'll get to that momentarily. I'm not even going to try to read this copy. I'm not going to try to read this copy either. I really wish people would devote some thoughts into legibility of what they actually want to put on their labels. But that is not the case here, so let's move on. We've got raw honey, distilled vinegar, habaneros, water, sugar, garlic, salt, spices, and pepper, I guess black pepper maybe. So, I take issue with adding sugar to honey. Always. I think that is... You know, we've seen a lot of that actually. We've seen a lot of different companies are artificially sweetening the honey and trying to extend it. And I am not a fan of that. So this one I had on the radar because it's a hot honey. And CryBaby Craig's had made another hot sauce that I have done a review on. You can check out the blog by following the link in the description down below. But... I did not notice that this had sugar in it when I added it to my hit list. And I certainly didn't recognize that it was this runny. So this, I think I picked this up on vacation. And, but it had been on a list. I was waiting for it to go on sale. Honey, honey is really all over the place as far as pricing. Even without the current nonsense of, you know, playing hide the ball with tariffs. Even without that bullshit, this honey can fluctuate very, very wildly, all on its own, irrespective of that. So anyway, I was waiting for it to go on sale, and it didn't go on sale, but I did see it on vacation at what I thought was pretty reasonable. So I picked it up, and then it sat on my shelf until I was ready to open up another hot honey. And so a couple days ago, I picked it up and I noticed that it was super loose. Like, whoa, it's watery loose. And I get this primarily to have with my peanut butter and honey breakfast. When it's watery like this, that invites a new level of challenge that would completely negate me toasting the bread, among other issues. So I said, okay, well, I'll table this, and I got a different one. But I thought, well, this one, if this is more of a hot sauce than an actual honey. And, you know, the other thing is that, oh, shit, can I do this? I want to show you this. Look at this. It's almost pouring out. Look at this. Look at that. Did you see that? Of course you did. It was on camera. But the other thing is that when I saw garlic, I'm like, oh, garlic, is that a thing I want in my honey with my peanut butter? And the answer is probably not, if I'm being honest. So I think what we have here is a hot sauce has all the components of a hot sauce. It has peppers, it has salt, it has vinegar. We have all the components of potentially what is a hot sauce, but it is bottled in such a way that, you know, raw honey isn't going to want to be refrigerated. So this is one of the, actually, is that even on here? Does it say to refrigerate after opening? I don't see that anywhere on here. So, yeah, I think this is going to be more like a hot sauce, but it's not calling itself a hot sauce. So, there's not going to be a written review or anything like that on the blog. So, anyway, though, I mean, it does look nice. It looks very much like a honey it looks like a honey, actually, that has got a bunch of bee parts in it. That's actually what it looks like. And I'm sure this is the peppers and whatever else is in there. So, I'm sure it's not bee part. I mean, it might be, but I doubt it. But anyway, let's get into the old flavor. Hmm. Hmm. Ah. I mean, I guess I could shake it a little bit. It says to shake well before using, which you don't see on honeys usually. There's your first hint, right? So, I will tell you right now, if you're buying this like a honey to put in drinks or to pair on your toast, you have the wrong product. This is 100% not going to work for that. So I figured that would be the case. You know, I've done a lot of these, and I kind of feel like I'm decent at predicting stuff after over 1,000 videos in this series and hundreds of reviews of strictly hot sauces on the blog. I feel like I've got a little bit of a handle for how this stuff is going to go. Stuff still surprises me, don't get me wrong. But when I looked at this, my inclination, my instinct has been borne out. So my idea was, okay, it's probably going to be more like a hot sauce, like I said. So let's put it on savory stuff. In this case, chicken tendies. Honey on chicken tendies is a good combination. I think so. You could potentially use this, but I mean, look at how runny this is. It is. I'm gonna show you this in a second. So look, it is literally running right off the chicken onto the plate. You can see it there. So it is too runny for me. But I thought, you know, probably do better with savory stuff. You could probably drizzle it on a pizza. Can you hear that? That's what this honey is doing. It's good on chicken. You definitely have to have something that will take on the spices and the garlic. Having it just by itself, that I wasn't expecting. And there are times that Plenty. No shortage of times, in fact, where I have, it's given me pause that I chose this as part of the testing format for these videos. That was one of them. You know, and so I mean, this certainly isn't the only hot honey that's turned out like this. I've had a number of them that a lot of times I would just have to suffer through them, you know, because they were not quite far enough over where I didn't want to use it with peanut butter. This I do not and will not. That is not what I want out of my peanut butter and honey. And then heat-wise, it's non-existent. I feel like they should have just went all the way over and just made this into a hot sauce. Like, this doesn't need to be sort of trying to have a foot in both worlds. Just make it a hot sauce. My position on honeys, and there's a whole playlist of me testing it against that preference, which is that I want it to be a honey first and foremost. Oh my God. When I get that concentrated hit of flavor there, that is, oh man. I don't understand. I can't imagine. Is this what they were going for? Like, honestly, I'm kind of confused. I mean, if it's one, if I'm judging this as a honey, which I am, because that's what it says. This is one of way towards the bottom. Way towards the bottom. I'm not going to say it's the worst, because I have had some other ones that I didn't like very much. But I don't understand. I think that's the more puzzling thing here. Is this truly what you wanted? And if it is, why? There's not enough heat to function as a hot sauce. And there's too much other crap shoveled in there, too many other stray elements for this to function well as a honey. So it's kind of in this weird no man's land where it doesn't work. As regards, these are the two things that it's pulling in. So I am going to do a couple things with this sauce. I do quite happily have still a bunch of dried habanero flakes. I'm going to take those dried habanero flakes and they're going to go in here. And I'll put some in there, and then we'll see if they can sink to the bottom. If they can get a little bit of heat in here. Not a lot of room right now, but I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to keep. I will continue as I get more room, probably throw some more in there until I can see if I can actually, if nothing else, get some more habanero flavor, get some more heat to this. And I really think the garlic is kind of the issue here. One of them, I guess. I don't know what the other spices are. There might be more. I mean, it's a hot honey that's not hot. And it's not really a honey either. It's a honey with other stuff. So it's a miss. It's completely as something can be. And I actually found their other hot sauce pretty enjoyable. I had kind of high hopes for this. But as complete of a miss as it can be, this is, at least for me. And we're just gonna, you know, you don't win them all. It's just kind of the way it goes with probably everything. So, and this is one that that I'm not winning. to be clear. And we'll just leave it right there. So that was the CryBaby Craig's Hot Honey. Now go forth in peace to serve the flame.